In just over 2 hours, we head to the moon. We're monitoring NASA's countdown to Artemis 2's launch. The 4 astronauts, 3 of them American, are seated in the capsule, getting ready to go, and we're going to bring you updates throughout the hour. But while that perhaps dictates the future of man here on Earth, we have another Fox News alert asking what it is to be an American, specifically a citizen of the United States of America. Is it enough to just be born here, or does it require something more? That question over birthright citizenship is now sitting in front of the Supreme Court. And in a historic moment today, so was President Trump. Raising the stakes in an already closely watched case, Trump stayed for a little over an hour, hearing the government side before returning to the White House, where he issued this on Truth Social. We are the only country in the world stupid enough to allow birthright citizenship. Now, birthright citizenship is an issue that we've talked a lot here about on the Will Cain Show. And it is one that hinges on the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Let's get into it. The amendment reads as follows. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. For over 150 years, that's been understood to mean if you are born on American soil, then you are a citizen of America. The part of that amendment that we should center on is the subject of disagreement. It reads, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Both sides agree those words matter. They just fundamentally disagree on what they mean. One side says if you're born in the U.S., you are under U.S. law, period. That means it doesn't matter if your parents are citizens. It doesn't matter if they're here legally or illegally. It doesn't matter if they're temporary visitors. The administration, on the other hand, says, hold on. It doesn't mean everyone born here is a citizen. Rather, subject to the jurisdiction thereof has limits. And if you are subject to the jurisdiction of another foreign country, how can you be subject to the jurisdiction of America? So far, though, that argument is being received with skepticism by the justices.
You obviously put a lot of weight on subject to the jurisdiction thereof. But the examples you give to support that strike me as very quirky. You know, children of ambassadors, children of enemies during a hostile invasion, children on warships. And then you expand it to the whole class of illegal aliens are here in the country. I'm not quite sure how you can get to that big group from such tiny and sort of idiosyncratic examples.
Justice Amy Coney Barrett took it one step further.
Let's talk about its applications. So, you know, there are some, I can imagine it being messy in some applications. So what would you do with what the common law called foundlings? You know, the thing about this is then you have to adjudicate. If you're looking at parents, and if you're looking at parents' domicile, then you have to adjudicate both residence and intent to stay. What if you don't know who the parents are?
President Trump says if you want to talk about messy, look at how birthright citizenship has been abused. And to Justice Roberts, does this seem quirky? Trump writes, birthright citizenship has to do with the babies of slaves, not Chinese billionaires who have 56 kids, all of whom become American citizens. One of the great many scams of our time. That right there is a huge part of the argument. Times have changed. We all know the story of illegal immigration. And now we're learning about birth tourism. It's booming. In 2023, over 300,000 babies were born to unauthorized or legal temporary immigrant mothers. Add that in total. It's 9% of the U.S. births in that given year. When we look at how that shakes out over time, a clear spike in the number of births to unauthorized immigrant mothers in the United States from 2019 to 2023. That's unprecedented. It's unforeseen. It's undeniable. But Chief Justice Roberts, unconvinced.
It certainly wasn't a problem in the 19th century.
No, but of course, we're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out to, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Here's the counterpoint to that. In Justice Alito's argument, the Solicitor General was referring to.
Scalia had an example that dealt with this situation. He imagined an old theft statute that was enacted well before anybody conceived of a microwave oven, and then afterwards someone is charged with the crime of stealing a microwave oven, and this fellow says, well, I can't be convicted under this because the microwave oven didn't exist at that time. And he dismissed that. There's a general rule there, and you apply it to future applications. And what we're dealing with here is something that was basically unknown at the time when the 14th Amendment was adopted, which is illegal immigration. So how do we deal with that situation when we have a general rule?
I, for one, am fascinated stepping inside that room, hearing the arguments, hearing the questions from United States Supreme Court justices. It's a peek behind a curtain we rarely get to see. And no matter which side you fall on, you're hearing a substantive debate. That is much more than you would get from MSNBC.
You read the 14th Amendment, it could not be more clear. Like, the Supreme Court threw out this racist argument in 1898. 1898. I will tell you truthfully, the reason I am actually excited about this is because I want to know if Clarence Thomas and Alito both decide they're going to have the guts to side with Donald Trump in abolishing the 14th Amendment.
All right, we got it. You don't have to keep yelling at me. I get it. You think everything is racist. But let's talk about the case referenced there on MSNBC. United States versus Wong Kim Ark. It is from the year 1898. An individual born in the United States to Chinese parents denied re-entry after traveling abroad. The court ruled he was a citizen, clarifying the 14th Amendment grants citizenship to almost all people born in the United States, regardless of their parents' citizenship or nationality. The ACLU says that case sealed the deal and called out the Trump administration in the process.
It's crystal clear from Wong Kim Ark and from the debates that the framers of the 14th Amendment meant to have a universal common law rule of citizenship subject to a closed set of exceptions. And we can't take the current administration's policy considerations into account to try to re-engineer and radically reinterpret the original meaning of the 14th Amendment.
So we know the question. Is birthright citizenship an unshakable constitutional guarantee? Or is it a doctrine that's been interpreted, like many constitutional provisions, too broadly and now needs to be reconsidered? The answer could redefine citizenship in America for generations.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.